there. If you click to virtual machine here, right, you will see a whole list of server virtualization hosts. Right, in here is not just VMware, right? We have VMware, we have also AIX Power virtualization technology. But whichever is the virtualization technology, we can drill down and tell you each virtualization technology, what is the allocated storage, what is the storage from the virtualization layer, because VMware and AIX, they do allocation in different ways, and what is the assigned storage. So you may give a VMware ESX server 100 tera. If you only created 3 VMs in there, you may only use 3 tera, for example. So assigned and being used is different. After being used, within the used storage, what is the utilization is another statistics. So you can drill down and down and down all the way for every server by sitting at your desk without moving into the data center using a web browser. This is how powerful VORM is. If you drill into a host, right, for example, this one we click onto a particular host, we drill down some more, you can see all the file system in that host, because every host can have more than one file system. If it's a Windows server, you have at least a C drive, then maybe you have a D for data and so on and so forth. If it's a SQL server, you may have many mile points. And in this Oracle, rather in this Unix server, there are also many mile points. So for this host, you can see that it has got so many mile points, and they come in also different file system. You have UFS, you have ZFS, you have what is that? LOFS, I don't know what's that. So, and every volume, you can see the capacity and how much has been used. So some volume may be lowly utilized, some volume may be at capacity again. So per server, you can even drill down. Imagine if you do not have disk, how much time do you need to go find out every server on every OS, what is the utilization? And this is dynamic. This is dynamic. Once you generate it, it's accurate up to the minute. Not second, but minute. Right? If you have hundreds of servers in your data center, from the time you start doing this, server by server, go in and detect, till the time you finish, it's no longer accurate. So this is a big help in terms of storage porting. This is another screenshot that I show. So this is a Linux server on Extend3 file system. This is I think this is a Solaris server running UFS and Veritasoft system, and this is a Windows server running NTFS. And regardless of the platform, you can see the level utilization here. Well, that's what I mean. One platform, you do storage management throughout. You don't use multiple tools. I used to ask users, so what is the storage management tool? They say, oh, I'm using EMC, ECC, I'm using some native tools in Solaris and some native tools in AIX. So in the end, you know what is the most popular storage management tool? Excel. Because they will collect all these statistics, they will input into Excel spreadsheet. So you no longer have to do that with VORM, and VORM is free anyway. Once you run Storage Foundation, VORM is free. Okay, compression, I have covered that. Deduplication, I've covered that this morning. I won't deep dive. Just remember, the form of compression and deduplication that we added into Storage Foundation version 6 is optimized and designed so that we have minimum performance impact, and at the same time helping you to save some capacity, so that you sort of control the growth a bit. You sort of reduce the rate of growth a little bit in your environment, especially when you do virtualization. Right? So what we do is that in compression, you can enable per file or per directory or per volume. It's up to you. You can say, oh, this directory I want to enable a compression but not the rest. Or you can say, oh, I want this whole volume to be compression enabled. Or you say, oh, I want to only compress this file. So like OS archive or database archive log file, it's very good for compression. You save a lot of things from there. And we allow on the fly decompression in memory. So actually sometimes you get better performance from reading because we read the blocks and we expand it in memory. So we actually has less DSIO. So in certain case, reading performance is faster than without compression. And once user read, let's say application read a certain block and decided to change the block and write back into the system, we actually write without compression. So we allow a file where some of the blocks are compressed, some of the blocks are not compressed. We allow that, and we'll automatically track that, and the application doesn't know. It's transparent to the application. Then compression will start at a scheduled time, probably in the middle of the night, where it goes in and compress the blocks again. So it's all tuned for performance. And we use industry standard compression, GNU gzip compression. So you can choose between layer 1 to layer 8. How much compression do you want to use? How much CPU do you want to use for doing that compression? So it's all industry standard driven. For dedupe, deduplication is activated per volume, not per file, because there's no meaning to that. Once you enable dedupe, is for the whole volume. So you can choose to enable or disable dedupe. One of the very good candidate will be if you are keeping VMDK files. Deduplication will save you a lot of this space. In Storage Foundation 6, we also introduce file level replication. Some users tell us, you have VVR, which is good, but I know that my application only uses these 3 files. So I don't want to replicate the whole volume across because this volume has got other applications. I only want to replicate these 3 files. So we allow you to do that now in version 6. File level replication. Again, in terms of storage optimization, in version 6 on Windows, now we allows you to shrink a volume. Previously, Windows, you can expand the volume on the fly, but you can't shrink it. In version 6, we have found a way that you can shrink it. But you can shrink only up to the amount of capacity you use in that volume. And there's another limitation, which is you can only shrink to half of the original size. That limitation is set the first time you create that volume. For example, if you create a volume at 1 terabyte, the maximum that you can shrink to is 500 gig. Why is that so? Because Microsoft writes something in the middle of the volume, some metadata in the middle of the volume that is not movable. Those data cannot be moved. It's by design by Microsoft NTFS. So once you created that volume, that metadata is there. So the maximum you can shrink is 50%. So if you want to be really flexible, you can create a very small volume and then you immediately expand it. So that next time you want to shrink it, you can shrink it to really, really small. Yeah, because that thing doesn't move after, that patch doesn't move after you created that volume. So that's available in version 6. This morning I also mentioned that you can set thresholds. Information to action, remember? So this is where you set it. So in this case, you can set some high level watermark and say, if it's 65% capacity, send me a warning. If it's 80% high capacity, automatically grow by 20%. But of course, you must have spare LANs on the stand that this server can go grab and expand the volume. And it will automatically expand the volume for you. So you avoid a crisis in your data center. Imagine the server hit capacity in the middle of the night. Nobody is in the data center who will go and grow that volume for you. Even if you will receive an email, so what, right? So this will automatically grow the volume for you and help you avoid some downtime due to out of this space. Chargeback. This morning I mentioned you can manage chargeback automatically. You can generate reports. So firstly, you will need to create different storage tiers. Once you create different storage tiers, you can assign a cost to it. For example, class A, like I mentioned this morning before, class A may be rate 10 with replication and snapshots. It could be $10 a gig. Class B could be $5 a gig. Class C could be $3 a gig. So once you've assigned that cost, you know exactly which server or which application consume how much storage from VORM. VORM can automatically generate this sort of